You have done it again. Purple Power has done it again. Less than 8 hours after I said, you know what, you need to put fire underneath the feet of congressional leaders and get them to move on this stimulus package that they are not moving on, dragging their feet instead on, they're now waking up. Nancy Pelosi says she's ready for a vote on your stimulus package in the House of Representatives next week. This is jaw-dropping great news. This is amid other congressional leaders saying, we're moving too slow. We need to get going. Purple Power has done its thing. Congressional leaders are waking up. In today's recording, I go over the breaking developments since just this morning, where congressional leaders say we need to move fast. If we have Republicans with us, then we do. If we don't, we need to pass it. Time is of the essence, and I'm so excited you're joining me on great news, shocking news, and a major turnaround in just one day because of this channel. Purple Power, you continue to do your thing. This is Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited for you because finally people are moving. Less than one day after I said Purple Power, step up and make it very clear to congressional leaders they're moving too slowly. They're talking about weeks, days, almost a month to get your stimulus package. Now, hours later, they revert and say, we're going to do it next week. This is incredible great news, and it's all because of you. But the fight is not yet over. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe, because this is the only channel that's doing this. We're fighting the fight for everyone, because this is the Purple Power. We're going on social media making very clear congressional passage of a stimulus package needs to be done immediately. It should have been done on day one. We're at week 2, and now is of the essence. Meantime, also like this video. And if you've not subscribed and hit that alert button, hit that alert so you get an alert when another video goes live. And there will be one right after this one, which is a continuation on a third stimulus. Meantime, if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. The link is at the top of this video and also in the description and in all the comments. In this video, I go over the incredible great news happening just this day. Nancy Pelosi and other congressional leaders saying, you know what, we're not going to wait any longer. We're ready to do this, and we're going to do it next week. This is jaw-dropping great news, and it's distinctly different than the message 24 hours ago from Joe Biden and his press secretary that said, we'll get to this in a couple of weeks. We've gone from a couple of weeks to a couple days because of you, Purple Power. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that the comments coming out of congressional leaders and the White House in less than 24 hours of the push of this channel has dramatically changed. Let's recap. This morning, I delivered yet another report saying, where is the bill? Why have we not seen the bill? We were told the bill would be on the president's table, ready to be signed on day one of this administration. It has not even been introduced to the House of Representatives for a vote. It has not been introduced to the members of the press for details. And to this day, we know very little details at all about things like hazard pay, business grants. Haven't heard anything about SSI and SSDI, Social Security and railroad benefits, $200 a month since December. So this channel stepped up, and so did you. Hashtag FPUC Retro, hashtag MSC, hashtag SS200. Go on social media and share videos and make it very loud and clear. You're going too slow. We love you, but you're going too slow. You need to speed up and stop talking about the air quality and stamps. We're top priority, not licking the back of someone's stamp. And with that, it worked. It finally worked once again, Purple Power. This is what Joe Biden said yesterday. I don't expect we'll know whether we have an agreement or not until we see the entire package we'll be able to pass or not pass until we get down to a couple of the very end of the process, which will be in a couple of weeks. That's what Joe Biden had said yesterday before we started pushing. We won't know whether we have agreement until at the end of the process in a couple of weeks. The comment was also repeated by his press secretary yesterday. She said, you know what? We hope to see progress and we'll know whether we do in a couple of weeks. That couple of weeks didn't sit well with you, Nancy Pelosi, or other congressional leaders. Biden also said yesterday the process is just beginning. Why? That's also not acceptable. The process was supposed to begin even before Inauguration Day. The point is that the process is just beginning. I picked it because I thought it was a rational, reasonable number, and it's overwhelmingly bipartisan support in the House when it passed, when discussing his items of stimulus. But that was then. Now Nancy Pelosi is making very clear that it's going to be next week. Finally, we're seeing incredible changes in just a few hours because of this channel and you, Purple Power. Nancy Pelosi says that the U.S. House is now fast-tracking the stimulus package. Fast-tracking. I don't think I've ever heard that word come out of anything for stimulus ever since this channel started. 9 months ago yesterday, 92 million views. We're trying to reach to 100 million views. Keep on watching. And, let's fast-track this channel to the 100 million views as well. She says the House committees are expected to vote by the end of this week. Whoa, this is big news. So now Nancy Pelosi sort of slightly reveals that the House subcommittees actually have the bill, even though we don't have the bill. I have a summary for you. And that the subcommittees in the House are expected to vote on the bill before it goes to the final House for a vote. She says it will be, quote, completely ready for a full House vote next week. This is absolutely delicious $12 Calcino ice cream. At lunchtime, viewers were wondering, what happened to home LLA? I didn't see you at 12 noon. You know why? I went to the Calcino. I went to the Calcino for lunch, and I couldn't get out of there because Sirloin came up to me and said, can you move out of the way? I'm like, Sirloin, I'm trying to get a quick lunch because I got back and film home LLA, and I'm late. He goes, well, you have to try this $12 ice cream. It's on sale at $10.99. I'm like, I don't eat ice cream for lunch. It's Nancy Pelosi ice cream. And if you eat it, she might fast track your stimulus. Needless to say, I had some ice cream for the sake of the team. And now we see this. Really exciting, great news. Now, if you don't understand what Nancy is referring to, let me decipher it for you. Subcommittees in the House are subcommittees that deal with particular issues. For example, there's a small business administration subcommittee that deals with business grants and business loans under the third stimulus package. There is a labor subcommittee that deals with things like the hourly wage and then there's a housing subcommittee that deals with issues of rent and utilities. And so those subcommittees are looking at the language and they're looking at the words. This is how they always do things. Nothing new today. This is how they always do it. Once those subcommittees are happy with the language and happy with the words, then they say, yes, we support it. You can go ahead, Madam Speaker. Go call it for a vote. She gets support from the chairs of the subcommittees. Then she says, okay, the subcommittees have said they're in support of it. We're ready to go. And now she said the subcommittees already have it, that the House will be ready to put it for a vote, complete vote, and pass it next week. And at that point, it would land in the Senate by the end of next week. This is huge news. So the fact that it would land in the Senate by the end of next week means that the president could have the bill by next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend. Now, what is Joe Biden doing meantime behind the scenes? We see a little bit more because of a series of new news reports out that explain what Joe Biden is trying to do to get passage quickly. There is, in essence, a two-prong approach. Maybe you would almost say a three-prong approach. The first prong is a wine and dine without the whining. Except, maybe complaining. And there's no dining either, actually. I guess it's just talking. He's been having a lot of Zoom chats with congressional leaders, many on the Zoom chat, and speaking to them all directly to get them to get on board. He had one of those Zoom chats over the weekend, and Senator Angus King, who's an independent from Maine, said that it was a very productive Zoom chat. There was not a hint of cynicism or lack of commitment to any of us at least trying to work something out. And if they were just trying to jam it through, I don't think it would have been interrupted by the Packers game. There were 16 senators on the Zoom chat, except the ones that were watching the Packers game. No, I'm just joking. Led by Susan Collins, Joe Manchin, and others. The ones that, the ones that lost were just not very happy. But according to Politico, the ones on the Zoom chat all believed that the stimulus check might need amending so that it's only going to low-income families, not the current economic level. And that's what Susan Collins said to press. It's hard for me to see whether $900 billion of assistance should be in this package so high. Maybe a couple of months ago from now, the needs may be evident. We'll need to do something significant. But at the moment, I'm not seeing it right now as to sending a stimulus check to people who make $80,000 a year. But here is the second prong. That is the first prong, Zoom chats. The second prong is getting it for a normal bill and just pushing it for a vote. But the third option is what others like Ro Khanna have been speaking about extensively: budget reconciliation. Budget reconciliation is a third process in which you don't put the full bill to a vote. You put a narrowly tailored part of the bill because you're not allowed to do the entire $1.9 trillion bill. And you get that fast by passage, and it does not require Republican support. The positive factor about a budget reconciliation, it would be done quickly. The negative is it would not include a lot of things that I'm covering on the channel. In the video after this, I go over the 22 items that are in the third stimulus package. And so budget reconciliation could not have 22 items, at least. It could maybe have 3 items, and that's particularly not settling for viewers. One of the big debates right now is a balance between the acting fast and acting big, said Ed Mills. So if they did budget reconciliation, what would happen? In a few minutes from now, I'm going to be answering some of your great questions from yesterday. You had over 1,400 questions from yesterday. Stay with me, because that's coming up about 2 minutes in this recording. But if you had budget reconciliation, things like SSI and SSDI would never get in there. Along the other items, rent, utilities, food, business grants, business loans, they would never make it to budget reconciliation. So budget reconciliation is a last hope task. You don't want to default to it first off the bat because you don't get the things in there that really are absolutely needed. Ro Khanna says we need to do more than just progressively push for it. We need to ultimately get the administration to champion it. The decision on and then this is Joe Biden speaking, the decision on whether to use reconciliation will depend on how these negotiations go. And then came Khanna on the subject again. I don't think a number of people in the Senate are representative of the actual interests of the American people. There is bipartisan consensus for certain items, and I'm not going to go through his entire comments. They're not supported by big business. They're not supported by special interests. And there you go. Finally, lastly, let me address one subject that has been widely reported in broadcast news that's categorically untrue. The widely reported statement says that the Biden administration is considering a $300 a month payment to families for each child at $300 a month for 12 months from the IRS. That's not what Biden has said. It started with one news outlet misquoting the Biden administration and running that article, and now every subsequent news outlet has now reposted that untrue narrative. Biden never said that. He talked about a tax credit of $3,600 if you have a child under a certain age. The tax credit means you file a tax return. It triggers a tax credit. If you have a tax refund, you would get a tax refund, and that tax refund could be $3,600 at the time, shortly after you file your tax return. Not $300 every month for 12 months, which is also $3,600. That's not what Joe Biden had said. So let me explain that very clearly. All right, now let me get to some of your incredible 1,200 questions, actually 1,200 comments from yesterday's video. This is a reaction to the news that we have not seen the bill from Joe Biden, which apparently, according to Nancy Pelosi, her subcommittees do have the bill. Shalila says, a politician's mantra: promise them everything, but never tell them the truth. Wishin, this doesn't surprise me, unfortunately. Mario Onge, stimulus to the American people, not corporations or other countries. Christopher Lee Sparks Sr., you're going to have to pardon me for being so negative, but this is just not right. Teresa Love, they're delaying us because they have no intention of helping the American citizens. Blanca, why are they helping other countries? We're the priorities. That's responding to the comments that the administration is already prepared to send $8 billion to Latin American countries and do a new stamp before you. Denise Garcia, this president lost his mind today talking about everything but not stimulus. Frederick Mays, a couple weeks, huh? Last time we heard that from the politicians, it was months and months later. Yes, yesterday we had Biden and Biden's press secretary both saying it'll be a couple of weeks. Today we finally have Nancy Pelosi saying it'll be a couple of days. And we have Ro Khanna and others saying it should be a couple of days. Frederick Mayers, James Parhurst, the Democratic Party got what they wanted and now they don't care about American citizens. I don't know if I would agree with that. Patricia Stanko, hell no, couple of weeks. What do you give us our money in bits and pieces. This is not appropriate. Expletive. Don Miller, Biden needs to be reminded that he promised to roll out his package on January 20th. And he did. It was made very clear that the package would roll out on January 20th. Kathleen Keyes, disgusting, truly upsetting. William Bond, he's in office, he's a politician. Cheat the people once again. Karina Iturrallo, they're all the same. Once in the office, everything changes. Well, let's hope we've changed the situation. 24 hours ago, Joe Biden and his press secretary said, we won't know what's going on until we get to the end of this, which will be in a couple of weeks. They made very clear that expression, couple of weeks. They said several times. Now Nancy Pelosi makes it very clear that her subcommittees actually now have the bill, that they're working on the bill, and that they're going to approve the bill in each of the subcommittees of the House of Representatives by the end of this week. That she will then call for a final vote in the House of Representatives next week. And to recap, to get a bill to law, the House has to approve it, the Senate has to approve it, and the President has to sign it. And then it could take less than 10 days for you to get the stimulus in your hand after it becomes law. Big progress, but you need to keep on pushing, Purple Power. Your efforts have worked, but we're not to the finish line yet once again. We're close, and we've made incredible, huge, great progress in 24 hours. But take this video, share it on social media, hashtag FPUC Retro, hashtag MSC, hashtag SS200, and stay with me on the video right after this when I explain what the implication of each of those hashtags means and why the deal provisions in the third stimulus package are still up for negotiations, according to Joe Biden. New other great news you haven't heard until today. This is Afternoons LA. Make sure you subscribe, like this video, and also consider becoming a member. Remember, becoming a subscriber is free, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. This is Afternoons LA.